Hello, welcome back to the NBA DFS Slate Breakdown for Wednesday, November 22nd. We are here breaking down the slate. It is a huge 14-gamer, and so we have a lot of stuff to go over, but we're going to try and make it as short and sweet as possible. I know all of you have lots to do today, as I do as well, so let's get into it. Before we do, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe on all of our videos. It helps us a ton. Just feeds that YouTube algo, gives us a little more reach, and in turn, we can give out more content for free. Now, let's do it. Let's get into the slate here. So we got a 14-gamer. There is some news you need to pay attention to today. One, Joel Embiid is out. That is the major news. And due to that, chalk is flowing to the 76ers as it should. But then there's also some other stuff we need to watch out for. Jason Tatum is questionable and some other big names. Just make sure to pay attention to news as we get closer to lock, as you know, a lot of stuff can happen on these 14-game slates, and craziness is definitely likely to ensue. All right. So, highest owned point guard, we got James Harden, then Tyrese Maxey, and Kyrie Irving. I don't hate any of these plays. I think they're all fine. I am going to have more of Maxey than Harden or Irving. Maxey just simply gets a bump up without Embiid. He goes to, more like a 1.3 fantasy per minute guy, and he can definitely pay off that 9.1 salary a little bit easier than he could have with Joel Embiid there. It's a decent matchup, not amazing, but I am interested in Maxey. Other guys that I'm interested in, Tyrese Halliburton. With how well he's been doing right now, how can you not be interested in him, even in a little bit of a tougher matchup than he has had, versus Atlanta? But Philly's not a cake matchup, and he still went nuts there, but he is just absolutely locked in right now, and if he's going at a little lower ownership, I think it makes a lot of sense to go there. He could definitely outscore Maxey, likely does outscore Maxey, just by how much is what we're not sure about here. Kyrie Irving's fine. I'm interested in Malik Monk a little bit here. He comes off the bench and is a lightning rod for this team. When he's playing well, he gets extra minutes, and he can definitely get into the 40s at 5,200. So I'm interested here in this spot. I do think it's a game that he could run into some extra minutes. He played 24 against them last game. They got absolutely blown out. They're not going to get absolutely blown out again. And if he is in that 26, 28 range, he likely crushes his salary at very low ownership. So I'm interested. Now, one thing I will say is there are very few bench guys that I would consider on this big of a slate. I really do think you need to get those minutes. And because of that, bench guys I am not that intrigued by today. Malik Monk is one of those that I am, though. Another point guard I'm interested in is Keontae George. We were on him yesterday. He didn't quite do it. He ended up only playing 21 minutes because of the absolute blowout, but shouldn't be a blowout tonight versus the Blazers, and I am interested. George started off pretty well. He scored 9 points. That was all pretty much in the first half, and 9 real points, that is. And if he is able to get in the double digits, maybe low teens point-wise with his assists that he does, he could have a very good night. And it doesn't take much with all of his assists and steals and blocks to really put together a decent fantasy night at 5,300. So if he's just scoring the ball a little bit, which he should be able to against the Trailblazers, I think he's an interesting play that not many are going to. If you can see, the herd is all paying up, between 7 and 9K is what most are doing. Looking at DraftKings, point guard, Maxey, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, and Skylar Mays are coming in at the highest owned. Now, I think Mays is going to drop significantly. I do expect Brogdon to play. He is not on the injury report, and it just came out that Scoot Henderson is questionable. So Mays is going to drop big time. Our projection is only 16 for him, so we don't see him getting many minutes. So I wouldn't even really consider Mays as a play at this time. Fred VanVleet is popping up a little bit. He's fine. I don't really have a serious take either way on him. Memphis has been really bad, but the total is just really low. And, you know, that's really all I got there. So looking at shooting guard, high owns are Chris Duarte, Buddy Hield, and again. So Duarte, I do think, once again, this is a situation where they're just not sure if Kevin Huerter is going to play. If Huerter plays, Duarte is an afterthought. If Huerter does not play, Duarte becomes very, very nice chalk. Buddy Hield, he entered the starting lineup last night, played 31 minutes. If he's getting 28, 30 minutes, you know, at 5,200, he's incredibly interesting. And so I understand why so many people are going there, as it seems like he should likely stay in the starting lineup. Back over to FanDuel. Shooting guard high owned, we have Harden, Duarte, and Hield. We've covered all of those. Some other shooting guards I like: Mikal Bridges versus Atlanta. Atlanta doesn't like to play defense. Mikal can play defense. He can also attack the basket. We have a nice ceiling of him when, you know, he's scoring the ball too. So I think he's an interesting lower owned play. Malik Monk we've covered. And that's all I got for you as far as other plays at shooting guard. Now at small forward, Tobias Harris is the highest owned, Duarte and Hield. Hayward is right there as well. And I don't mind Hayward, but I do prefer going Miles Bridges over Hayward. I just think there's more ceiling here, more consistency. Bridges can score points in a ton of different ways. He had 15 rebounds the other night. He added 15 assists, 14 points. He played 45 minutes, which I don't expect that again. I would expect him more in the 35-36 range, but it is a great matchup versus a team that doesn't like to play defense, and he can play D, he can rebound the ball, he can pass the ball, he can score some points. So I think Bridges is in a really, really nice spot. He is an absolutely awful human being, but he can play some basketball. So if I'm trying to win some money, I will overlook his personal issues. Next we got here Scotty Barnes. Womp, womp, womp. He didn't help us out last night. That Orlando and Toronto game was one that I was sneakily targeting quite a bit. I thought there were some underlying aspects of it that could have shot out, and Orlando put up 126 points. So I was right about it, but Toronto just couldn't keep in it. They have been terrible, and if Scotty Barnes doesn't go off, this team has been struggling. So it's kind of all up on him, and Indiana does not play defense. Barnes can score in a ton of different ways. Nobody's going there. I am intrigued. Now, with that being said, at the same price, I like Maxey a lot more. I think there's a lot more pass to Maxey having more upside, but Barnes is an interesting way to get a little bit different at the same price. And small forward on DraftKings, we got Duarte, Bridges, Hield. All of them are interesting, and I would consider all of them. Let's get over to power forward now. We got Bridges, Naz Reid, and Pascal Siakam. So Siakam is cheap enough where I would absolutely consider him on DraftKings. He does have a very, very big ceiling in a really good matchup. Personally, I just think Barnes is more involved on this team the way they are currently playing. And with Siakam at the 4 and not at the 5, I think the consistency of which he's able to hit, his 50, 60 is just going to be a lot lower than it was last year. Now he's done it a few times this year. He's going to for sure do it again. And this is a matchup where he excels. One that, they're able to get out in transition and score a lot of points versus a meh team. So I think Siakam is interesting. Don't love the chalk aspect of it, but at 8K with his ceiling, I 100% get it. And on to FanDuel. So our high owned, we got Tobias Harris, Jeremy Grant, and Kawhi Leonard. Kuzma's right there, and Cameron Johnson and Zion as well. I do like Zion tonight, and in that Sacramento matchup, close game. I think it's going to be a better game than it was last time. That is for sure. There's no way the Kings are going to get blown out twice against the Pelicans. Zion has major upside at 8K. It's similar to, say, Siakam, but I think he has a little more path to fantasy success than Siakam. Cameron Johnson, not really getting too much, but I do really like Kyle Kuzma. I'm getting to a little bit of him, but not a ton. He just had his 52-point outing. He's had, 48, some mid-40s. At his price, he makes a lot of sense in a very, very good matchup. I'm just not getting to that much right now. I think if a little more value opens up too, then I would probably get to a decent amount of them. Just am not right now. Other guys I'm getting to, Aaron Gordon. Look, I know I keep talking about him, but dating back to last year, without Jamal Murray, he averages 1.1 fantasy points per minute. So he just gets a massive bump up without Jamal Murray. And because of that, I can't quit it. He is a guy where we've seen go on runs where he's, mid 40s to 50-point fantasy upside. And when he's constantly giving us 30 and he has that ability to go up a little bit more, I got to keep going back. It's not a great game environment. I'm not actively trying to search out to play Gordon, but I am getting to him. I just think there is upside there. And we have a great alert score. Matchup data is fine. So I'm interested. Kristaps Porzingis, look, he's starting to show us what he can do on this offense. 46, 56, 42. He's more involved with the team as a whole, understanding the system, and now they're going to be in a competitive game, something that we don't really see that much from the Celtics so far this season. When there's competitive games is when he's had good games. If you look at all of his 40-plus games, they're all close games. So I think he's very interesting at 8K with a guy with 50-plus point upside. I'm definitely getting there, and I'm shocked not more people are. With that being said, if Jason Tatum's out, he's going to be super chalk. Jason Tatum is in. He probably stays fairly low owned and in a matchup that very much intrigues me. Santi Aldama, look, he's 6,200 for a good reason. He is producing. 25 minutes, put up 39. 36 minutes, put up 37. 39 minutes, put up 56. Now, I do think he is more like a fantasy per minute, like 1 point per minute player than his 1.18 that he is looking like right now. So I do think there's some regression coming to him, but at 6,200, if he's playing, mid 30s minutes like he has the last 2 days, it makes a lot of sense to go there. So I am intrigued, especially if he stays a little bit lower owned. And that will do it there. So off to the center position. All right, so Paul Reed is clear chalk on the day and very easily could come in 40-50% owned on this big of a slate, which is crazy. But it's for good reason. There's no Joel Embiid. One thing that I will say about this is there is the chance that they have Paul Reed still coming off the bench and Covington starting over Reed. Now, I think whoever starts in this situation is the one you want to roster, but both of them are absolutely viable, and there is absolutely a chance that they both just play like 24 minutes, or Mo Bamba slips in for some minutes while Covington plays the 4 and some 5. So I think there's a lot of different ways this can go, but he's good chalk if he is the starter. We'll wait to see if he is, and I would have a lot of him. Mark Williams is coming up a lot. You guys know I've talked about him a lot. He's in a great matchup, huge upside with him, but there is constant foul trouble issues, and sometimes his minutes aren't that secure. So if he goes super high owned, I'm more willing to get off him a little bit. 9% what we have right now. It's fine. On this big of a slate, you can pretty much just play whoever you want and play who, you like the best. But regardless of chalk, because it's going to be really hard to get too chalky today, but it's definitely possible. So Williams is fine. That's just all it is for me, as he is fine. John Collins, look, he's in the center position still. I'm all about it. Portland is been fairly weak to center, so I would go back there. Sati we talked about Kristaps Porzingis. One other guy we got to talk about, and we talked about him yesterday, Goga. This dude just keeps being priced too low. That is his fourth 40-point game his third 40-point game in 9 games starting. He played 31 minutes, which that's the one thing we were hoping for. He only had 5 points and still got to 42. But that's what happens when you have 5 blocks and 2 steals. You can't really count on that always. But the dude's been producing versus Jokic. He might play a little bit more. They may need his, bigger body to guard Jokic. If that is the case, he very easily could produce again with another plus 30-point game. He's had 4 games of the 9 that were over 30. Decent floor there. So it makes sense to go back at low ownership. I will say that I do not like the play nearly as much as yesterday, but it still intrigues me. And on to DraftKings. Highest owned, we got Gafford, Naz Reid, and Siakam. All of them are fine. Reid is up to 5K on DK, and I don't like him as much there. I would be willing to go, say, Mo Bamba or Covington instead of Reid if you still want that value. Like I said, we are not sure the minutes how this will break down. I'm guessing most people think he gets 26, 28 minutes. He has in the past when he started. He's got that 28, 30, 25. But seeing as he has not played more than 15 minutes so far this season, I think there's a real chance that he only goes 22, 24 minutes. And if that's the thing, he's not getting it done at 5K, or not enough to be chalk. Jokic is in a fine spot. You can always go with him. And that will pretty much do it for us today. Tried to just make it a quick one. 14 games and a lot going on. All of us are super busy. So good luck tonight. Stay patient and stay attentive to the news, because with this big of a slate, things could get real crazy right at lock. Have a good one, guys. Good luck. Happy Thanksgiving. And we'll see you next week. Bye.